morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Ventura Center of Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. It's great to see you here on this holiday weekend, showing up for church. How wonderful. And so it is, and so we allow it to be as we continue to breathe deeply and move into that gracious place that Diane brought us to with her wise words. As we breathe, we relax, we let go even more, and we open our hearts to listen to the words of our sacred reading.
From Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. The word affluence is an overworked word in our time, usually implying cars and houses and baubles of all kinds. Its literal meaning is an abundant flow. When we are consciously centered in the universal flow, we experience inner direction and the unfoldment of creative activity. Things come too, but prosperity is not just having things. It is the consciousness that attracts things. The word prosperity comes from the Latin root, which translates according to hope, or to go forward hopefully. Thus, it is not so much a condition in life as it is an attitude toward life. The truly prosperous person is what psychologist Rollo May calls the fully functioning person, one who is experiencing what Jesus called the life more abundant. I say, prosperity is a way of living and thinking, and not just money or things. Poverty is a way of living and thinking, and not just a lack of money or things. The secret of achieving prosperity lies in so vividly keeping yourself centered in the inner focus of affluence that you exude the consciousness of it.
And so together, let us move into that place, into that inner focus of abundant flow, which is the word for affluence. I also call affluence generosity, because the universe has been generous to us. It has given us life and love and peace and joy. It has given us nature, and we get to give our lives back to the universe. But as we do that, we have to remember who we are. And so together we'll sing, I am remembering who I am, knowing that I am is another name for the abundance, the flow, the love, the goodness of the universe, that all of this is who we are right now. Without adding one thing to ourselves, we are that. And so we breathe in deeply, and we remember for ourselves, and we remember for the people in this room, but we also remember for all beings everywhere. Trusting and knowing that these healing words ripple out and embrace the entire universe. Let us sing together. I am remembering who I am. And as we sit together in this divine remembrance, we affirm the truth of the I am, which is also the we are. We are love. We are peace. We are joy. We are generosity. We are grace. We are abundance. We are the absolute reality of goodness. Let us breathe in to that awareness. And then exhale, gently opening our eyes in love with what is, as it is, and so it is.
Good morning. So good to be here. I just want to acknowledge a few angels in your center here, your spiritual center. One is named Lucky, and I am so lucky to have spent some time with you. And the other is named Ed. The two of you are a marvelous example of angelic expression in a divine way, and we thank you for that. In this season of nonviolence, I've been looking closely at Gandhi's writings and Martin Luther King's writings, and it's come together with a sense of heart this morning, heart that's filled with love. And on this next song, I really love it. And if I could ask some of you, any of you, all of you, to perhaps just think of your heart, put your hand on your heart as I sing this next song, as we try to get in there, because that's the only place where life is lived, is from the heart out. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There's only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, and I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. A love that heals, a love that sets me free. There's only love. There is only love. There is only love. A love that heals, a love that sets me free. There's only love. A love that heals, a love that sets me free. There's only love.
I love telling backstage stories about the church. And I was talking to Michael Paul earlier today, because at some point I'm going to have him come and sing opera, and I was suggesting the Toreador song from Carmen, Toreador, and yeah, there you go. And so he said next time he came he would sing that, and I was like, how do I make that about religious science? And together we kind of decided, it was actually his idea, but I'm rephrasing it. We can make it work by saying that sometimes in life a whole lot of bull is rushing at you. You know? So that'll be the topic in August when he's back. But it's not the topic. Whoa, what was that? Okay. A whole lot of bull is happening in the third row in the back. Okay, so people come to church and they often have questions, deep questions about the meaning of life, and why do bad things happen to good people, and why do good things happen to bad people, and all kinds of things like that. But I'm wondering if some of you this morning are pondering the thought, why is there a pyramid of Vicks VapoRub on the altar? Well, I will tell you, but not yet. You must be in suspense for a little while about the Vicks VapoRub. Many of you know that I went to India a little over a month ago now. It seems like it was just yesterday, but a little over a month ago. And it was right after the fires had happened, and then the mudslides happened, and one of my closest friends passed away suddenly and tragically. So there was a lot of stuff going on. And I asked the congregation, first of all, for you all to give me your prayer requests, and I carried them with me everywhere in India. And it was such an honor to pray for all of you in various shrines all over India, in Shiva shrines and Muslim shrines and Sufi shrines, and in front of a Christian shrine, and just all of these places to honor your prayer requests. But I also invited all of you to pray for me while I was gone, and I had 3 prayer requests. One, I think I had 3 prayer requests. Oh yes, one was that my family and all of my loved ones, including my animals, would be safe while I was gone. The other was that I would be safe and healthy while I was gone. And the third one was that I wanted to receive what I needed to receive from India in order to be a better leader in this center, in order to bring us into the next phase of our evolution. So the results of those prayer requests, my sister who's 3 years older than me, while I was in India, was hit by a car. And she's fine. She's fine. There was evidently this wall of protection around her. And not only is she fine, but she broke her collarbone, but she also has this changed attitude about life. She is so grateful, just so grateful for getting hit by a car and not having it be worse. Also for the community of family and friends that showed up to support her. She's also made a commitment to never go outside in the dusk or the dark without wearing reflective gear again, which I think is a really good commitment. So, and then my immediate family, my husband and my dogs and my cat and all of the other animals in our household and my other loved ones were all fine. They were just fine. And I was fine when I was in India. You know, the first time I was there, I caught dysentery, as some of you may remember, and several of us did. And it was from, you know you're not supposed to drink the water, but you're not even supposed to brush your teeth with the water. So in a moment of confusion, I brushed my teeth with the water, and I got sick, right? This time, with all of your prayers, I was extremely mindful every time I brushed my teeth. So it was really a prayer about mindfulness, and I did not get sick while I was there. But the other thing, the third prayer about, may I receive what it is I need to receive while I'm on this pilgrimage to India. May I receive what I need to receive in order to be a better leader for this center that we're evolving together, the center of love where we are aspiring to be love, share love, and serve love. And I have to tell you that I did not get sick in India with dysentery, but I did get a bad case of affluenza. Serious affluenza. And I hope to spread it around. So there'll be tongue kissing at the back of the church. No. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. It just popped out. I couldn't control myself. Yeah. Oh, God, that was awful. Oh, yeah, we'll talk later, is right. Oh, man. Felt like it was getting too serious in here. It was either the Holy Spirit or Satan spoke through me in that moment. Okay. Okay, I'm a little mortified. Okay, the way that I define affluenza is the spirit of affluence, which Hugh said in the reading, which is the idea that there is this abundant flow that moves through us always. And I rather than saying that, which is too complicated to say, I just say that affluence is generosity. Affluence is generosity. That is the true manifestation of affluence. When you know that you have so much, that you can spread it around. And that as you spread it around, more will come back and bless you. It's a beautiful thing. So the other day, I had lunch with Carol Lotz at Danny's Deli, which we do from time to time. Carol Lotz is one of the ministers here. She's not here on Sundays because she works for another church, but she teaches classes for us and does other projects. And she was saying, okay, India was great, and you came back with this case of affluenza. Is it just India? Do I have to go to India to get that? Adjustment here. And, see if I can stop popping. And I said, absolutely not. We don't have to go to India. India is not our source of affluenza. Neither is what I said I'm going to do at the back of the church. The source of influenza or affluenza is consciousness. It's consciousness. It's shifting our consciousness and then shifting our consciousness into that place where we realize that the truth of affluence is true, where the truth of abundant flow is true, where the truth of generosity is flow, and then living like that truth is true at all times. And understanding that each of us has something to give. It most certainly doesn't have to do with money. That was the point of the reading that I had Hugh do. It's not about money. It's not about things. It's about the warmth of the wholeness of spirit that exists within us that we can release and give and share at any time. And then we witness ourselves doing that, and we witness others doing that as well. And then it continues to grow and ripple out. It ripples and ripples and ripples until our ripples have ripples. Right? Yes. Oddly, though, they did a lot of stuff in India that did support that environment, and that's something that we can do here as well. I have probably a year's worth of talks about some of the things that this group that I was with did in order to support this growth and this contagion of generosity that happened for us. One of the things that happened is that everybody was just on fire looking for opportunities to serve one another in this group of 60 people that we had. I didn't wash one dish while I was there. People cooked for us, and then we ate, and then we were supposed to go wash our dishes, but nobody would let me wash my dish. I had literal tug-of-wars with people, like, I'm going to wash my dish. We were going to a shrine one time, and I asked one of the volunteers who lived there, I said, should I dress up? Should I dress more Indian? And she said, no, you're fine, you're okay. And then I came back from the shrine, and I'm wearing this today in honor of that. This was lying on my bed. Somebody gave this to me. Just because. I don't know whether it was something that she had or something that she had purchased to give away or what have you, but somebody just gave this to me. And so there are all kinds of opportunities to look for different kinds of currencies to give, to look for the currency of dishwashing, to look for the currency of giving of clothing, to look for the currency of compliments and praise. That was a big thing. To recognize when people were showing up as their authentic self and giving a gift and identifying that and saying that out loud to the person. There were so many currencies of that. But the biggest currency of all, I think, was, again, just understanding that we are part of this abundant flow that is constantly moving through the universe. This universe that gave us the sun and the moon and the constellations and all of the stars and the ocean and the giant redwood trees and placed every grain of sand on the beach and created butterflies that come out of worms, caterpillars rather. And and I heard somebody say the other day that the constellations are singing to us. There is so much to this mystery that we don't understand, and it is so beautiful. And as soon as we start opening ourselves up to just a little bit of it, more of it starts pouring through us, more and more and more every single day when we practice. And it's a beautiful thing. And I've been practicing, and I want you to catch on and practice too, if you aren't already, because we kind of are already, right? We are already, but we can do more. We can be more infinite than we already are. So I have lots of ideas about how to do that we'll be talking about over time. But right now I want to talk a little bit about a paradox. And this was something that they emphasized while I was away in India as well, but it's something that we talk a lot about here. One of the Gandhian principles that they told us about, because we were in the land of Gandhi, we were where his ashram was, and we meditated in his ashram quite a bit. But one of the Gandhi principles they talked about was, are you willing to embrace imperfection? If absolute reality is all that is, there can be nothing that exists outside of absolute reality. And so what we are calling imperfection is probably mostly just our perception of imperfection, right? But that perceived imperfection also exists within the boundless confines of absolute reality. We have to learn to embrace imperfection. And in the case of abundance, it often looks like embracing our fears, and particularly our fears about scarcity. I taught a class the other night, Spiritual Economics, which is an ongoing class that we're in the process of right now, and we talked about befriending scarcity. And after I got home, I said, oh my God, you said that you were befriending scarcity, that you'd learned to do it, and you just like told a big stinking lie to your class, because there's a place in your life where you are not befriending scarcity, probably more than one. But this one in particular came to my attention. And I want to bring it to your attention because it's an abundance, and a scarcity and an abundance that we can embrace together. One of the things that happened this week was that Jill, our director of the Youth and Family Program, wrote to me and she said, you know, this is not urgent, but we have some volunteers, but I'd like to have some more volunteers so we can grow a really thriving youth program. And I did my typical response to that, which is to kind of push it away. Say, oh, I don't want to hear this right now. I don't want to have to recruit a bunch of volunteers. I don't want to have to fix youth and family. And the reason I pushed it away was because I felt slightly ashamed that our youth and family program was not thriving. If I was a better minister, if I was doing it right, if I understood children better, which I really don't because I never had them. Peter Frank can attest to that. I went to his classroom the other day and I was like, whoa, this is scary. Third graders on sugar. It was frightening. If all of those things were true, it's all my fault. You know, it's all my fault that we would have a stronger youth and family if all of that stuff is true. And rather than be ashamed of my shame and push it away, this time, after I had lied to my class and said, oh yes, I embrace scarcity all the time, I recognized that I was not embracing that scarcity, so I decided to look at it. And I said to myself, as you probably say to yourself all the time, these things are not enemies, these are counselors that feelingly show me what I am. Has anyone said that lately, right? Hugh? As I'm kind of misquoting Shakespeare there. Sweet are the uses of adversity, right? So this belief in scarcity that I have or that you have or that you're experiencing in your life or this experience of scarcity that you're having that is largely rooted in your belief in scarcity, right? Because that's what we teach. That's what the V stands for. It doesn't stand for Ventura, right? It's a sign that our belief creates our experience. Right? So if you are experiencing scarcity, you can change your belief about it. And your belief about it starts with a willingness to embrace scarcity, to refuse to be ashamed of your shame. Can you hold that for just a minute? If you're ashamed of something in your life, if you're ashamed of some scarcity that's coming up because it means that somehow you are flawed and inadequate, if you feel guilty about something, then you can start by refusing or releasing the need to be ashamed of your shame or guilty about your guilt. And just recognize it as part of all of that wonder that exists within the place of this place called existence, that exists within the walls of this place called existence. The wall-less walls, because there are no walls to this place called existence. So we sit with that, and what is embracing our scarcity or our shame or our guilt look like? And it's just, again, these things are not enemies. They are counselors. It's there to teach you. It's there to help you recognize where you may be feeling separate from God. In the case of this youth and family thing I was talking about, this issue that we were having, I felt like our challenges with youth and family were bigger than the infinite presence and power of absolute reality that is God. Is that true? No. It's not true. So I got to realign myself to the truth. And then I got to also practice what I preach, which is practicing what we call the third force in this church, or the law of three, which is sort of unique to this church. It's actually from the philosopher George Gurdjieff, and was I came to it through my husband, who's been talking to me about Gurdjieff for 30 years, and also Cynthia Bourgeault, who writes it in a way that's easier to understand than Brother George Gurdjieff. Let's just put it that way. Kenny, where are you? So anyway, the third force is to hold your belief in scarcity and just see it and just be with it. And then to hold what you want over here. And to hold what you want over here, you have to ask yourself, we have to ask ourselves as a congregation, what do we really want for youth and family? Because it's not only up to me, of course, it's up to all of us and what we want. Do we want a thriving youth and family program? Do we want to have an abundance of volunteers and serve an abundance of children and other young people? You know, it's been a really hard week for children this week, as many of you know. And I look at the tragedy that happened in Florida, and I think, what if that young man had been at a church where he was affirmed, and where he was told that he was loved, and where he was told that there is a power and a presence greater within him that can transcend any difficulty? And can we provide that for an ever-expanding number of children that fall into the center through divine grace, that will change their lives and uplift their lives so that they may go out and uplift the lives of others? Is that something that you want? And you don't have to want it. You don't have to. It's not necessary. You may be here saying, I just came here to find out how to pay my bills. I don't care about youth and family. But it's something that I really want, and I hope that a lot of you join me in wanting that, in wanting to provide a really supportive and wonderful environment for our children, for our youth, and to grow the program. So we're holding, okay, let's just assume that we all want that, right? We want a thriving youth and family program. We're holding the scarcity over here. We're holding the thriving youth and family program over here. And we see that there's a mismatch here, that one is affirming and one is denying. And sometimes it's good to swap which one is which. But just let's say this one is affirming and this one is denying. And then we just allow them to be, and we sit in meditation, and we allow that tension to move us into this place where we recognize that the whole universe is poised towards reconciliation. You know, those of you who know physiology know that the body is geared towards homeostasis. The body wants balance, and the universe wants balance, and the universe wants to grow. You know that it's hard to stop plants from growing sometimes. You know that when you see cement and there's grass and little plants poking up there, there's something in us that wants to grow, and there's something in our youth and family that I truly believe wants to grow. And so we hold that in the balance, and we open up to the possibility of reconciliation, and then we allow the answers to come to us in its own time, in their own way. You know, already I've had a couple of volunteers stroll into my office and talk about the potential of volunteering. And I have a meeting with the chaplain at University of Santa Barbara who has a strong young adult following. So I'm going to meet with him and kind of talk to him about what that's about. But it's bigger than throwing, and let me back up for a sec. And I told the youth and family director when I was telling her about this idea of holding it in the third force, I was telling her, you know, maybe somebody will give us $1 million. And we'll hire a full-time youth and family director. And that's possible. If any of you have $1 million, please, feel free. But the problem is, or the situation is greater than throwing bodies and money at it. It's much greater than that. If we can evolve our consciousness to the place where we are attractive and beckoning and welcoming of young children and young adults that we can bless so deeply with this center of love that aspires to be love, share love, and serve love, then it will do what it needs to do. So I invite you, as you so eloquently prayed for me while I was in India, and I got such awesome demonstrations from your prayer, if you could just hold our youth and family program in your prayers, if you're interested, if you want to. just knowing that we have this appearance of scarcity, we are looking for an appearance of abundance, and that the solution comes to us easily, naturally, and gratefully, and gracefully. Okay? Got that? Good. Okay. So, amen. Good. Did you say amen? That's my stepson, who doesn't even live here. Okay? It's in Colorado. So, yay! Welcome, Michael. Here, Michael, we give new people a little heart. That's for you. Okay, there you go. All right. So, the other thing, too, is that sometimes when we talk about abundance, people get freaked out because they think I have nothing to give. I have no money. I have nothing to give. Okay, that is a big stinking lie that you're telling yourself, all right? That is a big, stinking, smelly lie. I can smell it from over here. Who's telling that lie? I can smell you, okay? That's one of the reasons, speaking of stinky, that's one of the reasons I brought in the Vicks Vapo Rub. This product has taught me so much about tithing, okay? Tithing means that you give of your good and then it returns to you tenfold. I gave 10 bottles of Vicks Vapo Rub, not to the church, but to Step Up Ventura, because they requested it, right? Does this mean I'm going to get 100 bottles of Vicks Vapo Rub back to me? I hope not. I don't want 100 bottles of Vicks Vapo Rub back to me. That would not be a good affirmation for me to say, oh, I have 100 bottles of Vicks Vapo Rub. Now let me get sick to start using some of it. No, but what I see when I look at this now, I see that, okay, this is Vicks Vapo Rub. This one is Baby Rub. I'll hold this one up because it's cuter. Let me play Jenga and see if I can take this out. No. Okay. Baby Rub. So this is Baby Rub, but I know that in this bottle there's probably 1,000 applications. And that's going to make 1,000 little noses and chests feel better, right? So that's how it works. That's how tithing works. That's why we say that gift returns to me in multiple ways. I've given 10 bottles of, or jars of Vicks Vapo Rub, but I know that it's going to make 10 times 1,000 is 10,000. It's going to make 10,000 children feel better through 10,000 applications. That's how tithing works. It doesn't necessarily come back to us in the same form, but it comes back to us in delight and joy and sharing, and sometimes it does come back to us in money. You know, I was talking with someone the other day about tithing, and we say, yeah, when we give money away, it always comes back to us, multiplied. So it's all of those things. It's all of those things. There are different forms of currency. There's the currency of bringing laughter. There's the currency of listening. There's the currency of identifying a job that's well done and pointing it out to somebody. There's the currency of providing somebody with a piece of clothing that you know they're going to enjoy. There's the currency of washing somebody's dish, of stepping up and serving, and just having your radar out to know when there is good to be done and you can be part of it. That changes your whole focus. You are no longer focused on what is wrong with the world. You are focused on what can I do to help the world be right? What can I do to help the world be more loving? What can I do to help make the world a kinder place? And so there is absolutely no limit to the forms of currency that we can engage. And all of you have an infinite form of currency that you can start engaging right here and right now so that we can make this center, that place that was like India, that transforms people, that moves us into that place of affluenza where we have it and we love it and we want to spread it around, where we're contagious with it. And can you imagine if we all really did that, what an impact that would have on our personal lives and also our community at large and then the world? I want to have a guest come up and speak a little bit about multiple forms of currency. This is one of our guests who I've mentioned before in this talk. It was Peter, who did a 21-day kindness project with his students. And you know, these students probably did not give money, but they did acts of kindness. I know that some of them didn't take, as I witnessed when I was there on Wednesday, but that was probably the sugar's fault. But anyway, Peter's going to come up and talk a little bit about some of the currencies that his kids engaged. And I think you can use that microphone right there. This is Peter Frank, RSCP.
So with the movie that came out, Wonder, and about a child going to a school that was, not accepted into the school, as well as with the work that we've done with Napoon, I kind of got the idea of let's do our own 21-day challenge, kindness challenge in my classroom. And through all that, I first of all had to go to the Napoon's Kind Spring website in order to get all the different ideas. And if you haven't been to it, I highly suggest the Kind Spring. He has thousands of ideas of acts of kindness that you can do every single day. And a random one would come up. So I was getting my list prepared. When I went into the classroom and introduced it to the kids, we're going to do a 21-day acts of kindness from Martin Luther King Day to Valentine's Day. And it'll all kind of culminate into a Valentine's Day wild party. But what I realized is that I just needed to give maybe one idea, and then the kids just went with it. The first idea that a kid came up with is, hey, I can let somebody else take cuts and be first in line. It was that simple. The kids wrote their own little cards of different ideas in order to share with each other. I pulled some of those cards out, and the other card that I read was, at recess time, I can be a friend to somebody who isn't playing with anybody. I pulled out another card, and the kid said, hey, at lunchtime, I see somebody sitting by themselves. I'll go sit and eat lunch with them, or invite them to be with us at lunchtime. Another child wrote on his, I could be the ray of sunshine in somebody's rainy day. They then went on to, a teacher found out what we were doing and gave us chalk, sidewalk chalk. And I gave the kids all chalks, and they went around the whole campus, and they were drawing hearts on Valentine's Day around the campus. And they wrote messages on there, be kind, help somebody, be nice. And the whole school was just covered with all these hearts. And we're like, this is so cool. And I had teachers coming up to me, how come I don't have hearts in front of my classroom? I want one in front of mine. And they went up to different teachers, and they go, we love you, Mrs. K. We love you. Thank you. And it was just a whole warming greeting around the campus that came from the children themselves. What I really there are two things that I took from it as well. Working with the Kind Spring, Napoon has a place on there for people to write down their acts of kindness and to talk about it. And I thought, well, God, this is kind of like bragging about it. I've kind of felt a little shame or guilt about that. But then I realized the magic of that when I looked at it in my children who were coming up to in the morning, Mr. Frank, today I saw a lost dog and I was able to take it back to its owner. And I started to realize how important it was to actually share that. Kind of from the guilt of, bragging to the importance of actually sharing it. They came in and they were telling me stories. I stopped by the library and there were some papers on the floor and I threw it away. They weren't telling it to brag. They were telling it to share, and it was so important for them to share. And I said, get that into your journal now. Get your journal out and write it down. The other thing that I learned from them as well was a shift even for myself that I'm working with right now, from doing an act of kindness to being kindness. I saw a real shift in them from just consciously trying to think of what can I do, what can I do, what can I do, to them actually just innocently being it. And thus I end up, one more thing real quick.
Sure.
From all of that, I had parents who are now reading, wonders to their kids. And we're singing these songs of gratitude and being kind. And from all that, parents are saying, hey, I know somebody who could put some dance moves to those songs. I know somebody who can do sign language to this. I've got somebody who can stitch. Our art teacher, who happened to be in the lunchroom, she goes, look at these. I want to make these with your class. So just people just coming in as well. And don't know where it's going to lead, don't know where it's going to go, but just excited to see what these kids are doing.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, and after being in Peter's classroom, I just say, God bless our teachers. God bless our teachers. They were wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And that's he did such a beautiful job of describing what we're aspiring to do here, what we're longing to do, and what we're actually already doing is just we're planting seeds. We're not attached to the outcome, but we're planting seeds. So with that in heart and mind, I have an invitation to you. The invitation would be to participate in our project, our outreach project, which means stopping by the table and seeing Lucky and seeing if you want to volunteer to work on a particular team, or if you want to volunteer to bring in things like Vicks VapoRub. We may have enough Vicks for now, I'm not sure. It's a lot of Vicks. We're supporting a couple of organizations. We're supporting Family to Family, doing feeding of homeless people Family to Family. We're also supporting Step Up Ventura, which is a beautiful reflection of Science of Mind principles, because it's aimed at ending the cycle of homelessness through changing the consciousness of young children that don't have homes and whose parents don't have homes. So it's a beautiful reflection of what we teach here. There's a list of things that they are seeking, list of items that they are seeking, so you can practice in the currency of Vicks VapoRub. Costs like $3.99 at Target, really simple. There's all kinds of things to do. And then at that table, we also have these things that are called kindness cards. They're similar to smile cards. It says, kindness, you've been tagged with an act of kindness, keep it going, pay it forward. So you do an act of kindness for someone, and then you give them this card, and then invite them to pay it forward. And that's how those ripples start going. That's how your ripples start growing ripples. I do have the church information on the back of it, and like Peter was talking about the bragging, the humble brag, we call, in Nipun's circle, we call that a humble brag, where you're talking about something great that you've done, and you really are eager to share it. That actually helped me quite a bit, Peter, because I was conflicted about putting the church's information on the back of it. Is this kindness or is this marketing? And as I sat with it in meditation, holding it in the third force, the reconciliation, the answer came to me, and it said, marketing can be kindness too. And what this is an invitation to be kind, but also to join a community where we will help you remember to be kind when you forget, because we all forget to be kind from time to time, don't we? Anybody? I know I do. So that's my invitation to you. And the other invitation is, again, to just recognize that we are part of this divine mystery that is so incredible and so vast that we have no idea what it is, but we can participate it. And the more that we participate with it in small and large and beautiful ways, that we focus on the small, that we focus on inner transformation, that is what makes the mystery come alive, not only for us, but for all beings. One of the observations that I had in India was that time is timeless. The first trip I went, and I learned all about absolute reality, and I went to the second trip, and I felt like the first trip informed the second trip, but was the second trip actually happening in the future, informing the past, and gave me what I needed to know, so that I could come to the second trip with an open mind. Did that make any sense whatsoever? Right? The past and the future are one because there is no time. When I think about how involved I have gotten involved with Nipun and how the center has gotten involved with Nipun Mehta's work, it started with ants. Because I read a speech that he did to the University of Pennsylvania, and he talked about how his grandfather in India, who didn't have much money, still wanted to practice kindness, and he used the currency of wheat. He would take wheat with him, and he would go on his morning walk, and he would feed the ants, so the ants would have something to eat. And I look at this church, and I look at this center, and how incredibly lucky I am, and I never planned this for my life. I never planned to be a minister. I didn't even want to be a minister. I didn't pay attention to those parts in ministerial school. I didn't know what I was doing when I got here because I didn't pay attention in school. But I'm here. I'm here in the most beautiful church in the movement. Seriously, you guys, we are so fortunate. This church is way prettier than Founders. It's so beautiful. It's a little relative comparison there, just to keep me out of the absolute for just a moment. But it really, in the most beautiful church in the movement, when I look at this and when I look at the pictures on the website and I see what brought me here was my dog. My dog brought me to this church. That's a whole other story. And what brought me to my dog was my friend that passed away before I went to India, a family that I met when I was 19 years old, and they got me started on the Vishla path. And something happened before then, and something happened before them. And so we are in this eternal timeline that knows the answer, that knows the future, and that is directing us what to do if we listen and if we open our ears and if we become affluent. If we become affluent and allow ourselves to be that flow of generosity, that infinite being that lives and moves and has its perfection through everything. So I'm hoping we can do that now with a little bit of prayer. And I'm going to invite you to not clap, but to keep the energy going just by clicking your fingers a little bit if you like this message. Was that satisfying? Was that as satisfying as clapping? I'm not sure, but anyway. All right, let us pray. I turn within and absolutely know the truth of the absolute reality that is God, that is grace, that is love, that is wonder, that is being, that is generosity. And as all of this is true for the absolute, because I am part of that absolute reality, I have the privilege of being part of that absolute reality. All of us have the privilege of being part of that absolute reality. Something divine said yes and birthed itself through us to be our lives and to open ourselves up for greater possibilities and for expression, and so that the divine could know itself. And so we are here right now knowing that for ourselves, trusting that for ourselves, and relying upon that to guide us through the coming days. And so I know that the coming days are filled with grace, filled with generosity, filled with the willingness to embrace imperfection, filled with the knowing that scarcity is not a problem, that God, love, absolute, is bigger than all of that. Just as the sun is always shining when clouds get in front of it, the absolute is always shining, that there is something beyond guilt, there is something beyond fear, there is something beyond death, there is something beyond shame, and we step into that something right now as we're willing to embrace the things that seem against us and then open up to also embrace the good that is available for us always, that absolute good that is who we are. And so we let that knowing inform us from the inside out and from the outside in. We live as if the truth is true, practicing gracious acts of kindness as much as we possibly can. And it's not even giving, it's receiving, because as we get into the habit of practicing gracious acts of kindness, it feels like we are the receivers. And so we rest in that paradox as well and just allow it to inform us and fill us and know us as we know it. I'm so grateful for this powerful truth that we have gotten to share this morning. So grateful for everyone here at this service and everyone who has worked together to make this service so beautiful. I'm so grateful for spirit, for love. And I bless this teaching as I bless all paths to God. Churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams. I bless all of them, for all of them are a blessing. And with a heart filled with gratitude and filled with love, I say, thank you, Spirit, thank you, God. And I release these words into the divine mystery, and together we say, and so it is.
I first want to thank this marvelous group of musicians, artists. Wow. Man, it's a joy. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. And wow, thank you all for having me here today. We have been blessed beyond measure today by what we've heard, what we've seen, and what we've felt. And I want to thank you guys for that. V, give it to the V. All right. Exactly. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, well, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. I said fish in the sea, well, you know how I feel. river running free. You know how I feel. Blossom on the tree. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Dragonflies out in the sun, you know what I mean. Butterflies out having fun, you know what I mean. To sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world, and a bold world for me. Are you feeling good this morning? Oh yeah! I said stars when you shine. You know how I feel. Scent of the pine, well, you know what I mean. Freedom is mine. Yes, I know how I feel. Old Man River. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling, yes, I'm feeling so good. And I'm feeling good. Who